Sigma.
Gotta get those levels right.
I'm a Sigma. I go out. I don't even.
Here we go.
Man, swear.
Oh, fuck, blew it. Ready?
Man, swear. I mean, man, swear.
This time. Third time lucky. Go.
Man, swear.
Boy,
Here he is.
Hey.
Oh, wow. Thanks, lads.
Hey, mate.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys inviting me to have a chat. I love a good chat, so thank you.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Fu Man Swoo Potty. We've got a special guest today, all the way from Australia. We've got Brenden Newton, former absolute charger on the bug, current father, partner, current working man. He's a working man. And current member of the Cold Coast Bodyboarding Club, and current
vice president.
Oh, VP. Sick.
Founding member, aren't you?
Yeah, that's so cool. And also current water photographer too. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. And I really appreciate the warmth that you guys have given me over the years. And yeah, like when we first met down there at the little wedge, Blaketown Wedge. It would have been 20 years ago now, and thanks for chasing it up. I really appreciate it. You know, it's so beautiful to have friends, particularly friends across different lands. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, you were a big inspiration to me that 20 years ago. Like it was 2004, I think, where we met at that comp, and I wouldn't expect you to remember my face, or I mean, like there was a lot of crew around back then, and I just remember being a little bit starstruck when you pulled up at the break wall, because that year was the UN Against the Grain came out, and yeah, I remember just going up to you and going, "Oh, you're a madman! You're such an inspiration." I watched Against the Grain weekly for like 2 years, you know, and so especially your section at Front On, yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then the ABC and the Road were like probably still in my top 5 book films of all time. You know, I actually rewatched them just the other day because we knew we were going to have a chat with you, and it just brought back so many like nostalgic memories.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate your connection through the videos, and it's radical that you got so much inspiration from it. Yeah, I always dreamed of. It sounds I'm really hesitant to say it, but I always dreamed of being famous, and not in the I suppose that fame's a double-edged sword. You get to inspire people and influence people, but you know it's also, if you hold all your identity in it, it can just be self-destructive and awful. But there was always, I like to think of it as like a healthy aspect of that desire. And when people like you say that you enjoyed some of the things that I put effort into, it's really, really special. So yeah, thanks, mate.
Love it. What we usually do with peeps on this potty is the old cliche, you know, give us the old rundown of when you started up on the bug and how you got into the sport, and just saw your genesis story on a piece of foam. So yeah, how old were you and where were you hanging out and what were you doing? What were you riding?
Yeah, I suppose well, I was always into swimming. Always, you know, from a young age, my parents were all about putting us into swimming classes, and then when we sort of moved up from South Australia in Adelaide up to Cherry Hills on the northern beaches of Sydney. Nippers became a big thing. We're always doing nippers from a young age, like 5 and 6. And are you guys familiar with nippers or?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
surf
yeah,
life
yeah,
saving.
yeah. And then so I just remember being really in love with this, particularly the foam nippers boards. Just the idea that you can catch a wave and stand up on these nippers boards. I just thought it was like just fascinated me. And so soon after that, I suppose influenced by the big bodyboard culture at Mona Vale, where a lot of the guys on the shore break at Mona were like right into bodyboarding. So that kind of had a big legacy through like Adrian Heibner, Matt Riley, Dean Fergus, Brett Lillyman, fucking, and a few beaches down, you had Ben and Toby Player, you had like guys like Teal Nippard, you had Crispin Hughes, you had like Tully Beaver, you had like all these people like Gherkin and Tate and Matt Witter and Pete Moore and Dave Jarvis and like all these guys. And so I was in Dave Jarvis's younger brother's year group when I went into year 7 and I went into a new school. And so from there it was just, I was a highly driven, like obsessive and intense, social kind of kid. And I had these, when you sort of go into year 7, I had this intense desire to be friends with the cool kids, and I kind of cringe at it now because you're like, wow, like how much did I sell my soul to try to be friends with them, But they were all really good bodyboarders, and particularly Alex Jarvis and just incredible. Some of these bodyboarders are just like, you just live and breathe it and watching them do stuff. And then, Peninsula Bodyboard Club was like a club that I think we joined when we were 12 or 13. And my older brother, Daniel Newton, was Dave Jarvis's age, and they had a whole crew of bodyboarders. And many of those crew of bodyboarders went over to Hawaii every year. And it was, like going to the North Shore of Hawaii, at that point, you don't really have the big picture of the world and the oceans. You just think like Hawaii is like the destination for pro bodyboarding. So, soon after we started doing lots of bodyboarding, my dream started to be, I'll go to Hawaii like those guys, And so I worked at Kmart at the that must have been year 9 or year 10 at Kmart, and saved up half the cost of a Hawaii trip. My dad paid the other half. So, and I got a barrel at Pipe. So that's a little bit of the chronology of the bodyboard
No way. So you went over to Hawaii when you're like 14 or something, was it?
No, I was
15?
6. I was 16.
Oh,
Yeah.
16.
But I remember I booked the plane, and then I found out that Mitch Hall and Alex Bunting were on my plane trip. And I stayed at Sandy's on Waimea Bay, on the corner of Waimea Bay, where a lot of the guys stayed, like Pete Moore and some of the South African guys, Jason Body and Shaggy and Matt Witter, and it was crazy. It was such a buzz. Yeah.
Oh, what a thing.
Sorry, Josh.
Go ahead. No, you go, mate.
I was just going to say, I see those, those late 90s through to 2010 as the absolute golden years for bodyboard development, and what you guys sort of leveled up in terms of what people thought was possible on a watercraft. And I think our audience, the majority of our audience, is going to be really well familiar with who you are. And we've already, heard episodes about from the Grin Reapers and a Grey Space about your escapades, down in South Australia and off the Bight and stuff like that. My question is like, do you think your upbringing around that really solid bodyboard culture and access to such heavy waves like created that comfort for you in such insane ocean conditions? Because like how I've always seen you is a person that's so comfortable in, like, if me and Jolan paddled out at some of the waves you've surfed over the years consistently, we'd shit ourselves in the channel, you know. And so yeah, I wonder, when you're like, yeah, your upbringing, how did it mold that sort of comfort? And then, yeah, like I see you led the charge in terms of that development, you know, in terms of pushing it. And the ultimate was your trip, you know, your riptide cover down at way
Salty
down
dogs.
south there.
Yeah.
Salty dogs, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, the evolution of it. I suppose the position that I was in. There's a couple of angles to answer that question. I suppose there was a perfect storm in a way, because life was uncomfortable at times in some of the more conventional pathways for me. So, for example, one of the most pivotal moments for my bodyboarding was when I did a gap year, right? And went in that gap year, I spent 2.5 months in WA in the most fucking beautiful box and North Point stuff, like pumping season. And me and Harry Dixon lived, in this shit little van for $6 a week, and then we graduated to a house. But basically, we're just living. We drove over in his van that he decked out for design and tech for year 12, and with another friend, Jade Channon. But we met, a bunch of the Port Macquarie guys over there, Aaron Carter and Scarlett, Dan Scarlett. And anyway, so we're over there. And then I was like knee deep in that, to like just, just living and breathing it. I met Nicky Smith. He turned up, real enigma, and he was kind of living at Margs. And then so I come back from that, and I start working as a swim coach and catching waves and blah, blah, blah. And then January comes around, and I know that I'm winding up my gap year to go and do this med science degree that at uni. And I get this little house set up, and my dad's real keen to get me set up. So I'm sort of bunkering down at the university, and I walk into these lecture theatres with 200 people. And they're all 18-year-olds, and I'm sitting like at these big fucking cinema complex style lecture theatres with just like hundreds of people, and there's one cunt up top talking, and I'm like, I've just spent the whole year like seeing what I could do in the waves. And around about this time, the double page spread of my Shipstones double page comes out, where I got the wave of the day on that trip, that we did the January before. Like Riptide held onto it for like 6 months. I was like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, so it landed, and I was like watching that Chopu Super Tour movie on my VHS at my little uni room. And then I was sitting in these boring lecture theatres, just like, I'm probably undiagnosed ADHD, and I'm like stretching on the floor up the back of the cinema just to stay agile. Like my whole world was orientated around something different. And so I made it through 6 months of uni. But mate, I was so restless. I was surfing every morning at Mystics, and I was just like, it's hard to know when you're in it, but in retrospect, you look back and you're just like, I was destined to like do something other than uni. But I went down to the university travel agent, and I booked a $1,500 flight to the end of the road to Papeete, Tahiti. And I went on that trip. You get a big gap in Australia in the middle of the year, and I went over there for, I think, 3 weeks and I caught the bus all the way to the end of the road. I didn't know where I was going. I literally told the bus driver I need to go to the end of the road to Chopu from the city. And I got on the bus, and like literally at this like dusty cul-de-sac, and looked around, and Tate Martin's standing there. I didn't quite understand how important that was, because he took me over to the accommodation. I sorted that out with the accommodation, and then and the swell was maxing the next day. No, we surfed that arvo, and it was like 15-foot chopu,
Oh,
and I like West Bowl chopu, and I was catching
Oh.
waves, like going, like falling down the face, and sitting in these big West Bowl pockets, and I'd never felt a wave that that you couldn't see the lip because it was so far up. Like I knew that I was in the barrel because everything was slurping my board that way. You know, like you're
Wow.
in, but I couldn't actually see the lip because it was so far above my
oh,
head, and
oh,
like obviously just behind my head, but like it wasn't deep in the barrel. But because you're on the west bowl, you're like bending around the corner of the reef,
mm.
and there's this one particular wave that felt like that. And then I swear, 10 years later, I reflected on that wave. I was like, fuck, was that like a 12-foot barrel, or was it? It probably was just like a gnarly 8-foot west bowl. But
Mm.
it kind of made me think, like, man, imagine if I got a photo of that one like that.
Mm.
And anyway, the next day we woke up, and the next day was just crazy, like proper, 12-foot sets, and then the following day after that, we surfed for like 3 or 4 hours, and it was perfect 6 to 8 foot chokes. Like I'm
Oh.
talking perfect. So you get like 30 waves, and like every one of the 30 waves towards the end, your legs are so like nimble and relaxed. And when you're deep in a session and you just feel you
Got the
feel,
rhythm.
yeah,
Mm.
untouchable. And
Mm.
and I remember just scooping into ones and like letting my legs like drag down the face, and then you're on the back of this bat tail science I was riding, and then you like up the front, pushing out the barrel, and you're scooping out, and then you paddle out and you do it again. And I was just like, this is like fucking heaven. Like I
Mm.
can't believe I'm doing
Mm.
this. And that's when I quit uni. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything other than being a pro bodyboarder. And
Yes.
that was a huge risk, because I just had a gap year, and I, I'd sort of, I felt that twang of like, all right, I should apply myself to what I've committed to. And my dad and mum were very supportive to get me in that situation to be able to have a uni degree, which, they obviously valued economically. It's a big stepping stone, as you can imagine.
Mm.
And anyway, so that with that added pressure, I was like, when I quit and I was like, I'm going to be a pro bodyboarder. I remember going to Canaries at the end of that year, and I was just like, I'm going to fucking get every big wave I can lay my eyes on, and I'm not going to hold back. And like, I don't give a shit how big it is or how wild it is. And like, because I just wanted that dream, I told my dad, I'm going to make this happen. Like, there's nothing
Yeah.
stopping me. I'm going to put everything on the line. And I just remember thinking, I cannot die doing this, because I know that I had this trust that God would look after me. And I'm a bit tedious saying the word God because I got very obsessive with my religious stuff, and I regret that to some degree. But I knew a higher power had my back, and I knew that I could catch whatever wave I wanted at that point in my life to become a pro bodyboarder.
Mm.
And it was just a matter of doing it, and I did it, and I was like, it was so incredible that this dream, I was like you guys, like I was, when you meet, like you meet, I remember meeting some people, pro bodyboarders, and it was just gobsmacked, just couldn't believe it. I turned into like a blubbering mess, like,
Mm.
and then to be one of those people,
Mm.
it was just like, it is a little bit egotistic, but it also was like kind of fucking surreal that I was that person that a kid wanted to ask questions of and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
that's
gotta.
kind of the pivot moment
Mm.
that made me do it, is because I always had the setup, I suppose, but that pressure to either do uni or do bodyboarding, and
Mm.
that's when it really was a turning point for me.
I got to say, I love your honesty, because we're not just here to talk about your pro career, but we're also here to talk about how you continue to drive the culture of bodyboarding now.
Mm,
And I got to say, I just absolutely appreciate your honesty, because there are so many ex pros or pros or just people from the industry that level of frankness is just not forthcoming. And
Okay.
that's their hey, it's up to people how they share
Yeah.
information or
Totally.
history. But
Mm.
I still look up to you even now, Brendo, because I do appreciate that honesty in your mental health journey. We all struggle with mental health issues, and this is our podcast that me and Jolyn started a good few years ago now. We started it first. It was like, hey, let's do a funny thing to keep our scene in New Zealand sort of alive, but then it evolved a little bit, and we've got just a little following with like good mates and a crew, but it's evolved a little bit, and it's slightly inspired by you, to be honest, mate, because it's evolved beyond just being silly buggers as well. We've had some pretty heavy chats during some of our episodes, so it's helped me and Jolyn grow. Yeah, so just got to say that, mate. Like, your things with Cold Coast booging and how you're like making the center point of Cold Coast about inclusivity. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just super inspiring.
That's
and
sick,
same with
man.
the
I'm
podcast.
so stoked to be in that role if I'm inspiring. But 100%. And no, I mean, yeah, thanks for saying that. And it's rad when you got a few people around you doing something you enjoy doing. Like I can imagine the podcast. Like I'm definitely the first person to want to like talk shit and make jokes too. Like but there's like, yeah, it is. It's good if you can. I mean, you only really need 10 listeners, to make you feel like you sort of, you're communicating some stuff, you're having a bit of fun, you're connecting with others. It's like it's a win-win. The whole, like, if you've got a good little podcast going and it's not, it's
Exactly.
beautiful, Yeah.
Hey, going back to you finished, you quit uni, you'd fully committed to the bug pro thing, and then you were just talking about how you were just about to go to Canary. So, what was your sponsors like back then? So, were you hooked up pretty well? Who was your main board, Weddy and Finn sponsors just before Canary trip?
Yeah, there was like a couple of like hopeful situations. I don't know. It's like the best guy that really got me going is when I decided to go fully in. One guy saw an article in what was it, the Daily Telegraph, which is a pretty big East Coast Australian newspaper, and he was like, he was a doctor, and he had a real passion for surfing. Just grew up like surfing waves in the desert and stuff. So he'd obviously like geared his life around to become a doctor later on in life. So he kind of he had his it's a real diverse experience. There's not many people that are hardcore surf barrels off the desert in SA as well as go and nail a med degree. And so he sort of had a bit of experience, and he had a beautiful little son who was tiny at the time, who was pretty passionate about bodyboarding, like unbelievably passionate. And anyway, so he saw this article through a mutual friend of me at Chopes, talking about quitting uni to go bodyboarding. There was a cool Chopes image there that I scavenged off this French photographer one trip there in like 2003 or whatever. Anyway, he saw that and he's like, I'm starting a bodyboard brand. I want to sponsor you. I'll pay half your flights to overseas whenever you want to do that. And the only thing is I want you to work in the shop. And I'll also pay you to be in the shop that I set up, the bodyboard shop. So I lived out the back of this old gutted out Commonwealth Bank in Kirrawee, Sutherland, Sydney. And yeah, so that was like my little break, like I've got a sponsor that actually does give me money. Like it's not just a fucking pair of flippers, and I'm like, that was that was probably my most at a very critical time that came. And I was like, okay, this is my dad and myself drove over to his house about 45 minutes, an hour away, and sat with him. And my dad was like, why do you want to do this? Why are you doing this? So my dad was sussing him out, and he's like, well, I think life's a little bit like Christmas. You get lots of presents when you're young, but you give them when you're older. And we're like, okay, fuck, all right.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that set me. And I remember a bunch of the pro guys, like proper pros that I looked up to, were like quizzing me on my new sponsor, and they're like, "Fuck, sounds pretty good."
That's so good.
Why are you telling me that? Like, because you have this illusion that they're all getting paid heaps, but like they're not really. I remember I told Kingy about it, and
Yeah.
he's such a dickhead. He's like, oh, like kind of pick holes in what I was doing. Like, so this is what he does, and he's like, oh fuck, they're actually paying half your tickets, and I was like, yeah, like it's it, mate. He's like, yeah, and I'm pretty sure after that he was like, like curious, like he probably wanted to go get sponsored by him, like
yeah. What's his number? Hook me up.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there was other sponsors that I wish actually did more for me at a critical time. Like, mate, if I owned a bodyboard company and I saw the zeal in my eyes when I was about to go on that fucking Canaries trip, if I owned a bodyboard company, I wanted to sell boards, I wanted to build like a bit of a, you know, scale up my company off the back of a rider. I don't know. I couldn't think of a better person to go to, but that's all in hindsight, though. It was probably just another scavenging bodyboarder that was, trying to rip into stuff. Although I did have some runs on the board with Shipstones and a bunch of other things. So I was disappointed that like NMD, like it was mostly through World Bodyboards. Like I was like up at the office in Sydney, like sussing out, can I have a board? Can I have some flippers? And they decked me out with board and flippers, but like the flippers are the wrong size and the boards were average and like they sent me some boards to Hawaii and I asked for back tails and the fucking crescent tails and like just like that was like the sweet spot, the moment where I needed everything, but they fucking just treated me like another pleb. So that's the difficulty of business, I suppose, and it's not necessarily a reflection on a like personally. When I was hanging out with Mez the other day, and it's I'm sure just running a business through other stakeholders out of a factory in Sydney through World Bodyboards, which is a big machine in and of itself. That was tough, but it was so tough waiting for emails off them and just mate, if I had an opportunity to get beside a kid who was passionate about something in my world and just try to give them the world at the right time, like that would have been just an absolute game changer, because there was no chance I was getting egotistic about it, because it was like, this is like, I was putting everything on the line, life and death, like just fucking give me 10 grand and a couple of good boards, like.
Yeah,
there wasn't a wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
guys doing that. I remember that Riptide cover at the Canaries and going to like the local supermarket and seeing that cover on the shelves. Oh, holy fuck!
Yeah.
This fucking guy's mental.
Yeah.
Boy, that Canary trip, because was Tamaga on that, or did he go just before
Tamaga
you?
met us over there, but it was serendipitous.
Sick.
I think. I think there was a bunch of interested parties, because it sort of, I didn't realize that it eventuated to a Riptide trip, really. It was me meeting Mickey over at this epic island that he's talked all about, basically. And then before I knew it, there's this momentum of people, I suppose, when, the Crawley was there, filming No Friends, Ben Player, Mitch Rawlins, Bill Gallagher, and then like, I suppose, Guilherme Tamaga turns up and so it was, I suppose those guys were talking before the trip and trying to build a bit of a trip out of it.
Yeah.
So was there many locals surfing it, or was it just people from
the
way
there
coming in?
There was definitely locals, and there was definitely feisty locals, pretty keen to make sure that we knew it was their wave, and that's all fair, but it was just kind of it was definitely clear that they, that was their front on,
Yeah.
But it was good when it got over 8 foot. It wasn't like that. It was like, that's what's so beautiful about, I really enjoy about like real fucking hardcore ocean, like bodyboarding. you can like kind of bitch about all sorts of stuff, but as soon as it's 8 foot in sideshore, it's like,
Mm.
it's just like, all right, we're in nature. Nature's the boss. Like no one's the boss now.
Mm. It really separates the men from the boys, eh? Because
Yeah, well,
me
I
and
don't
John will
know.
be sitting on the rocks. We'll be watching.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
won't paddle them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
It
good.
is good when you get to cheat the system like that, because usually in most domains of life, you've got to answer to a boss or to a this or to a that,
Mm.
and fuck, it's awesome when you just got no rules and you just like, you know, it's just you and the waves, and
Yeah.
and when it's really big, you're just like, fuck, there is no boss here, like it's a beautiful feeling.
'Cause speaking of Tamaga, right? Because you were likened to him quite a bit. Like people were sort of. Did you get that? Did you see much like
Oh,
media about
maybe
that? Like,
maybe because we had shaggy neck length hair and
yeah,
we're like kind of crazy screaming people.
yeah, and also had that bloody, that faith in God as well. And so you
Oh
both
yeah,
both of
yeah,
you guys were always like, nothing's going to stop me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, true, eh?
Did you
Maybe I
not
should
hear
have
that? Because
grown up should have
yeah,
grown up in Rio in an
yeah.
apartment with my four brothers in the same bedroom.
Well, you definitely don't have the same style. That's for sure. He's got
Yeah,
such a
look,
I
he's
think
got such a
that
unique style.
I think the
yeah,
way you
yeah,
guys rush waves though is really similar too, because
Mm.
sure.
Tamiga's remember the roll at Arica he did onto the dry
Yeah,
rocks. I mean, that's
yeah,
just
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I had
It's
a really nice moment with Tamago recently. I go to Hawaii every year to visit my friends, just to remember old times and create new memories. And like
mm,
my good buddy Magno Oliveira Passos,
yep.
I go stay with him and hang loose with him. And I sat on the veranda of another Brazilian friend out on the North Shore, and I sat there with Tamago, and we caught up for the first time in 10 years.
Oh, cool.
And
Oh, cool.
it was really nice. That was last year or the year before.
Mm.
We just talked story about all sorts of things and talked about his new endeavors where he's got some fucking crazy stories. I'll try to catch a pod with him next in November. I'm going back to Hawaii, so
Cool.
he's just got the craziest stories about being like totally sun scorched and like heat stroke, fucking passing out naked on the side of the road, trying to strip his clothes off to stay cool, and like being left on the side of the road. People think he's homeless, and he was just out training for triathlons. Like,
Holy crap.
yeah, like psycho shit. Yeah,
Yeah, because
um,
that's right. He did evolve into like a ultra
yeah,
marathon
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
guy, didn't
yeah.
he?
This one
Yeah,
story is nuts, man.
yeah.
Like, because he stripped off his lycra because he just felt like he was burning up. He had to
Oh,
get his dark colored lycra off, and he's trying to crawl into his body's like malfunctioning, and he's trying to crawl into the shade, um, and
wow.
on the side of the road, and like a couple walks past him, and the lady's like, "Oh, we should help him," and then the guy's like, "Nah, like." He's like, he's a freak, like,
He's a homeless
like
dude.
he's
Yeah.
probably just
Stay
hires,
away. Oh, crazy.
Oh, it's so good. Fuck, it's
It's
so
you
good,
still,
man.
I mean, surely you'd help someone anyway, even if they are
Yeah, yeah,
high. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. It's like fried like a crab on the side of the road, eh?
Yeah.
we're gonna hunt that cunt down and figure out who he is.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, sick, dude. Yeah. I was thinking, what are your thoughts? Uh, I heard you talk about it either on one of your podcasts or with someone else, and you were just talking about that like discrimination sort of thing against bugs, and you put up with a fair bit of it with the guys from Maroubra. Um,
Hmm.
we can cut anything out if you want me to, but
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like I've always I just make it about myself a little bit at the moment, but I'm Maori. I'm indigenous. I'm Pakeha and Maori. I'm Indigenous New Zealand. I know what it feels like to be called a half caste. Because I'm quite pale skinned, so know what it feels like from a pretty early age to made feel less than, right.
Wow.
And then my chosen sport was bodyboarding, which
Yeah.
obviously we've put up with that discrimination for a long time. my
Yep.
thoughts are that people who choose to discriminate against someone's choice about like a watercraft is not much different from being, discriminatory towards someone with different skin color or a different cultural background.
That's interesting you say that, because I've always been hesitant to directly draw the parallel, because I think that's not my parallel to draw, because I'm not, let's say Indigenous, for example, but you see a similarity there
I
in
just
those feelings? Or?
I see a really similar way in the way when people feel, when people were really comfortable about segregation and things like that, it was part of the culture, right? So I don't want these black or brown people in my school or my neighborhood or in this political system or whatever. I think it's just a human evolution, like something different or threatening you don't want to accept or like. And so I've always thought of that people that don't respect or rate bodyboarding and are really vocal about it, a la some of those guys in Sydney, or even guys that we've put up with here in New Zealand, I think their thinking's quite unevolved, because they can't draw a comparison between, discriminating against someone's chosen sport is the same as discriminating against their race or religion. And making someone feel less than. There's no difference. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's your race, religion, or your life choices. It's like I've kept pretty quiet. We haven't talked about it much on the podcast, but I remember you talking about it and thinking, I'm just keen on your thoughts there, because I've always struggled with it, because I had a crack at Kobe Overton on his Instagram, because I said, well, you're all for Indigenous rights and mental health and things like that, but you feel so free to express discrimination or make someone feel less than because they write a lit, so it's like just a hypocrisy.
Yeah, 100%. It's beautiful that you talk about it, man, and it was such an honor to talk about it, with someone with your story and your heritage. Like, it is, it hurts. It really hurts. I remember feeling just this utmost feeling of shame and humiliation when I got chased up the beach at height. I'm sure Winnie felt the same when he got hit and stuff. And it's just, I mean, there's some people that are sensitive people. I ultra sensitive people. I'm one of those. Like, and it hurts me if someone socially hurts me. Like, that fucking hurts. I don't mind if someone hits me. Like, I got punched in the head pretty much for being a bodyboarder on another island in Hawaii, and that hurt much less than the isolation I felt, like, from having just to walk up the sand while everyone looked at me. It hurts. It really hurts, and I feel like I've got a strong sense of empathy for anyone who's been treated poorly. Probably. I'll just quickly note that. Do you reckon we could wrap this, like, put a pause on this? I go through security, and then I can jump back on, because I love to keep yarning. I'm really enjoying it.
Man.
Oh, mate, don't miss your flight on us, bro. Get in there.
Don't miss your flight.
I've got to go over and pester hardballs for 7 days, so I don't want to miss out on that opportunity.
Yeah. No, sweet, bro.
No, that'd be awesome. Thanks, Brendo.
And
I just wanted to say, brother, that shame you feel is the same shame that I've felt for some of the things that have been said to me about being Māori in the schoolyard. So it's the same feeling, because me and Jolyn, we've all been made to feel less than for writing a book. So it's the same feeling. Yeah.
And it's really interesting, I want to talk more about this, because I think just unpacking it a little bit and the potential of that feeling somehow transmuting into a really powerful reconciling action. I think there's a lot of potential in that.
Looks like you're in a
what are
bloody.
you guys talking about?
Looks like you're in a bloody waiting room, like a hospital, but you're actually at the
Oh,
airport.
mate, I'm only halfway up the line. I haven't even gone through security yet. But
oh no, you poor guy.
it's so gnarly. it's a long line. But I just
Yeah.
thought I'd just test the link and see whether you guys are still hanging around, or you just like, fuck this, lad, I'm leaving.
No, we're desperate, mate. We just wait for you. So desperate.
Desperate.
No, good,
Well,
bro.
ever
Well,
since I got on, we just started moving. But yeah. Do you want me to yeah.
no,
But
we'll keep it on when we're chatting to you in the line, eh? Why not?
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Can be an unconventional anecdotes in between the podcast.
You did.
Yeah, so here we are at the just check-in desk. Feels amazing not to be stressed, because you know how you're always stressed in this time. You're always late, or like
Yeah.
something's
Yeah.
going wrong, or you forgot your visa, or some shit going wrong. So I just feel
Yeah.
incredibly relaxed right now.
Yeah. That's pretty sick. So you got 7 days over with Hardy Camp, eh?
Yeah, yep. 7 days with hardballs. I interviewed him on my podcast probably 2 years ago, and then when I left that interview, I was just like, mate, what can I do to hang out with this lad? And it's like almost impossible to hang out with him unless you book a camp with him.
True.
So it's just like, you know,
Did
just
it?
do that.
Did
So
it?
hey,
Oh, I was just going to say, didn't Hardy stay at your house when he came to Blaketown, Joel?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. No, he crashed here. Yeah.
no way.
Old
The
hard balls. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a big crew of them actually, eh? It was
Mr. Ball.
Mr.
That's cool. He's
Yeah.
yeah, like wherever he slept is like forever. Like people like just end up crossing their legs there, like just because of his auras, like in the space.
Yeah. Well, like
Oh.
my style improved tenfold just for him,
Yeah,
his aura.
just because he breathed on you.
Breathe the same ear.
Yeah. He was funny though. He was he was super cute because like he was fully motivated, you know, like
Yeah,
in his absolute, well, he's still prime now, he shreds, but you know,
yeah,
like there was a big crew of us here,
yeah,
and a few of the boys are having some beers, and
yeah.
he looked at his watch. It was like 9:45 at night, and he's like, "All right, guys, I'm just gonna do some stretches in my room and grab a glass of water, and I'll see you
He's
tomorrow
so
morning."
cute.
I know,
He's the cutest man.
I reckon.
So dedicated. He's so dedicated. Because we're
All
all
right.
just a bunch of like dirty bugs over here in New Zealand, especially at Blaketown. It's just like no stretching, no warming up, just out there. You know,
Yeah,
like we had a good session all together at one of our favorite novelty waves in Greymouth a wee while ago, and one of the boys walked down, and on the way to walk down the water, he was just finishing off a joint.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, you think that Hardy's super clean cut. You know, when we grow up hearing stories of like he doesn't drink,
yeah,
you know, like he's evolved heaps, man. He's like complexity thinking's like way more evolved than what the picture we had as Broms. Like
yeah,
because you'd think yeah, like he doesn't. But then like he came from Mars, like where like people are like punching chums and like you know like just rough as guts, like and he's not like the holy angel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, like because like
although
there's like
he is our ordained holy angel of bodyboarding.
yeah.
He's definitely one of the apostles for sure.
He's definitely one of the apostles, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Mitch should be like a holy apostle that's like
yeah.
been ordained into the Church of Boog. Who else is who would be the 12 apostles?
Well, who's the Pope though? That's got to be Stuart, right?
Oh, it's gotta be
Stuart's the
Stuart.
Yeah.
Pope.
Do you reckon Stuart's the Pope?
I'd say
Yes.
it's got to be, eh? What do
Yeah.
you think? Hey, Brendo, welcome back. Me and Hodjo
We're
are
just arguing.
We're just remonstrating about IBC versus previous iterations of the World Bodyboarding
Oh,
Associations.
cool. Let's get into it. Let's really chew the fat and pick the bones. I'm going to go off camera so that I can put this in my pocket and walk and talk.
Okay,
All right.
cool. Are you okay to continue for a little bit, or
I
'cause you
love it,
don't-
mate.
Oh, sweet, cool. It'll keep you entertained while you're at the bloody
I'll
airport
follow you,
fiasco.
Chris. All
Yeah.
right.
So
Well,
what
should we
are,
get?
what are
should we
your
get-
thoughts on it? Yeah.
Yeah,
On
let's
the
get
old
your
IBC,
opinion.
Brendo.
Oh, mate. Look, I my honest opinion is when you're at a distance, like scrolling some shit platform like Instagram, and your reflections are really easily cynical because you're not in the funk, you're not in the excitement of it all. Like, like there was a clip up the other day of some lad getting barreled on the left, and then he comes out and does a huge full body El Rolo
Oh, I saw
and
that.
lands. I think he won something or one of the comps or the world championship or whatever the fuck he won. But he, if you're on the beach that day and you're tracking the comp and eating food, sipping coffee, hyping it up the night before with the athletes, like it would have been the most exciting wave. Like, if you won the comp on that wave, you would have been fucking frothing. But
Mm.
because we're not there in the mix of it all and it's not Roland, or we're kind of like, oh yeah, like, like we could kind of criticize it. Like, so that's one take on it, from my perspective.
Hmm.
And then there's like another perspective is like, oh, the golden guys, if you're not like Roland and Hardy and you know, Jeff Hubbard and Spencer Skipper, if you're not got them on the tour, it's not a tour, which is another valid point, you know.
Mm.
So it's like sort of hard to judge, but I've been obviously involved with the Gold Coast Bodybuilding Club recently, and it is such a remarkable set of ingredients to play with. And, just the whole idea of even thinking about running a world tour with good waves and good athletes and good community and a heap of just fucking quality events and surrounding paraphernalia and all other bits and pieces that go with bodybuilding scene. Like, it would be so cool to somehow bring in the whole world and run like a fully inclusive, all guns blazing world tour that would just everyone could celebrate and be super pumped and know for sure that the format has taken the world's best through to a world champion over 10 comps. Like, that would just be unbelievable. You could live and breathe that stuff for a decade. I could still,
Yeah.
But how do you do it is another question, and that's contentious. How it's just seems like there's so many variables and so many things that can fall through. Let alone just the funding of probably costs $300,000 to do that.
Yeah.
Minimum.
I was just thinking about Hodjo. I don't know, Brendo, if you follow any of the MMA world, but there's an Aussie guy called Craig Jones, jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He's just
Tell me he's a burger.
Nah, I don't know. He might be. Who knows? But he's just acquired $3 million to run his own separate jiu-jitsu competition to basically he's running it on the same day as like the already big world association. I think it's called the ADCC or whatever it is. But
Oh, really?
yeah, that's the way. I think what he still won't tell anyone where his money's come from, but he said he's like, oh, I had to do some bad things over in Dubai, eh? I had to do some bad things. That's what we
mate, that's the thing. I reckon, like, on a serious note, like,
Yeah.
if you got some lad that just been given 3 mil
Yeah.
through some inheritance or something, like, it is so possible, man. I've been living the last 10 years or working for this separate corporation, like separate to bodybuilding, but I've used all my bodybuilding contacts to essentially find people, money, resources. There's just endless. I reckon there's a country in the world where we can't infiltrate and find industry or capital or whatever
Mm.
using these personalities that we call our bodyboarding family. You know, like think about how many extreme personalities there are across the world that bodyboard, and how many of them would be tied up in different industries and different capital and different ideas, and with the entrepreneurship, the the hustle, the grit, all those kind of characteristics that are typically bodyboarding. You could do some wild things if we dug around for some cash to do a good tour.
Yeah, because when you were away just before, me and Hodjo were talking about how you're going to probably miss the Shark Island comp, maybe, eh? Like, because it sounds like they're probably going to run next week, eh?
Oh yeah, I'm commentating with the crew, and I'll fly home for it if it runs. Yeah.
Oh, so
Oh,
what? You
nice.
just
Yeah.
will you ditch the camp and fly home?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Like
cool.
long live the boo.
Fuck yeah! How
Well,
good.
if it works out the timing, Brendo, me and Jolyn are gonna like sort of watch the quarters through right through to the final and do like a watch along on our podcast. So we'll be like
Sick.
listening to you and yeah.
Damn, I thought you were just about to say you were going to join us in the boat in the channel.
Oh mate,
We need more people
Come on,
to
mate. It's
sign up
only
to our
$400
Patreon for
flight.
that.
Get into
yeah,
it.
true. I'd love to. Fuck, I'm bloody good on the mic too. I tell you, mate. I'm bloody good on the mic.
I bet you've got responsibilities like children and jobs and stuff. Tell me a bit about you guys, what you get up to.
Yeah, mate. You go, Hodge.
Yeah, bro. I got a daughter, a 5-year-old daughter, and work full time. I actually work for our Indigenous Māori tribe here in the South Island called Ngaitahu. I lead a lot of their environmental projects, basically. And
Wow.
so yeah, that's my other side of life. But like kind of like you, Brendo, my life in booging has led to me where I am in my career in a way, quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, and using some of those networking skills that you got from booging, and for me, like I grew up on the East Coast in Christchurch, and then spent 10 years of my life over on the West Coast at Blaketown there, and it was like me. I saw how solid and awesome the crew was from Blaketown, and that spot itself behind me on that photo has got its own sort of lore. You know, it's got its own history and mystique.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so I
that
wanted
photo's
to.
sick. I suppose the listeners will get it. I don't know if this is a visual podcast as well as a audio, but that's a beautiful photo. And so you're saying it's got its own lore.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, we were just talking about that when you're away. Actually, like the original Bugs started surfing it in the '80s, and John's been working on a documentary on and off for it for years now. That's part of the reason why we started the podcast, was to capture the history of it too. And so when my first trip to Blaketown, actually, I think was that, or it might have been a trip before that, but it possibly was that when you were there for that endless comp.
No way.
That might have been
beautiful.
my first trip to Blaketown.
Do you know what? I've got this little picture in my mind of where it was a wet and moist day, wasn't it? And I remember some really high vibe interactions on the breakwall there. Did we speak on the breakwall?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we would have.
Yeah,
we did. Eh?
Yeah.
And so it could likely be the memory I've got. Could likely be the interactions we had, Podjo, on the breakwall there, because I had a pretty busy mind when I was younger, so it's hard sometimes to have a full clear memory.
But you know, when you meet kind of one of your heroes or something like that, or someone you really look up to, it sort of sticks in your mind quite vividly.
Yes.
So for me, it was really vivid. I still remember it really well, like going up to you, shaking your hands, and like awesome to meet you. And then
was the boot open? Like, we had a van, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And was the boot open? And I think I was getting ready to go surfing. Was that when we chatted?
I think so. Yeah, I think you were around the van. I approached you
Yes,
when you were in
yes,
the van. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
I reckon there's some fleeting uh crackle of a memory that I'm calling upon right now.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good, bro. But yeah, I didn't expect you to remember me. That was 20 years ago
Yeah,
too. So
yeah. No, it's cool.
See,
But it's
Hodjo,
amazing, when there's good energy and like or just like solid connection, your body remembers it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
Hodjo's got a bloody elephant brain. He remembers everything. Because
Oh, really?
I have a memory of that trip, and I'm pretty sure we ran a comp, some sort of,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
was it a full on comp, or was it an expression session or something?
I think it was an expression session
Yeah, that's what it was.
from
Yeah,
my memory. Yeah.
yeah,
It was the endless bodyboarding expression session at
That's
Blakestown, I'm pretty sure.
That's it.
Sick.
Yeah,
Yes, it was.
yeah,
It was.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
cool.
remember that.
Because I'll wrap up the story from earlier where that person who had sponsored me, he ended up being that endless guy, the endless bodyboarding guy, the guy that saw me in the paper and then who was a doctor. And remember, I mentioned there was a really little Grom who was just like so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
That was Sean Pine.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
crazy.
Sean Pine, who's like one of the best bodybuilders on the planet. Like, in far as I'm concerned, like I was down the wave pool with him recently, and mate, he was just ripping the shit out of it. Like he was doing spins in, flips out,
Oh man.
but like not kind of letting the wave dictate. It was almost like a little bit like Rawlins, how he just like rips the wave like into new shapes. Like, yeah.
Oh, crazy! Because we
Yeah.
remember that guy that came over with you, Dave Tooley or something. That's not Sean Pine's dad, obviously,
No, Dave Tooley.
because he was the
Gee
guy.
whiz.
He was the guy who came over with you and was like the so-called endless guy. Was that his name, Hodjo? Dave Tooley?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, so John Pine is the founder
He
of
was,
Endless,
yeah.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
maybe he recruited Dave Tooley as a
Yeah,
bit
he
of a
must have. Yeah.
manager of the space, because I do recall Dave Tooley. He was a bit of an older lad,
Yeah. Yeah.
older than us a little bit, and maybe
Yeah.
John didn't want to carry all the details, so Tooley got the responsibility or something.
Yeah. That must have been it.
Yeah. 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 Oh, classic, dude.
Oh
Super
yeah,
classic.
I should finish my thing too because I've got a daughter. She's 16, and yeah, and I just work full time as well. But for me, my employment just evolves around surfing and my lifestyle. So it's just I'll just get any job that allows me to be flexible, while still giving me some sort of satisfaction and what you get from working 9 to 5. So yeah, I've got a pretty cool job that allows me to work from home, as well as customer based stuff. So yeah, bro, that's just me. I moved back to the coast in 2004. Isn't that funny? It's quite serendipitous, isn't it? That's when Brendo came over that year as well, wasn't it? So
Wow. So you moved back to the coast,
yeah, bro. Yeah, so
2004.
I grew
Are
up
you
here.
the same age as me, like 40 kind of thing, or?
No, I'm a little bit older. I'm 43.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was born in 1980.
64.
You look fresh, eh? You look like you got plenty of spunk and energy for a 43-year-old, I suppose.
Oh, I don't know. Hodjo would probably beg to differ. Thanks,
he's
though.
old,
Thank
he's
you.
old and grumpy, Brendo. Is what he is.
No.
How old are you, Hodjo?
I'm 37. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm in the generation after Jolin. Yeah. But Jolin, just said you're like born and bred on the West Coast as well. You left for a while, came back. Yeah.
I'm a small town boy, Brendo. I don't know. Are you a small town boy or are you more of a city kid?
Oh, look,
Bit of both.
I've never fitted into those stereotypes of those different categories. I work with Aboriginal people and have done for the last sort of 15 years, and there's a really common question is like, where are you from? Like, what's who's your mob? Like that kind of thing. And obviously, my first answer is not Aboriginal, and then there's all these other generalizations that you sort of like, where you from? Like, I just feel like I'm not from anywhere. I feel like I'm from everywhere. Like, I honestly, and that sounds a little bit, a little bit grand, but like, I genuinely feel in my soul that I'm born to be everywhere. I remember having a feeling when I was 17 or 18, walking through airports in the middle of the world, like Singapore or Heathrow or wherever it was. And I just thought to myself, like, I can talk to anyone in the world and I can connect and live their life and be here. And I just feel like there's a really strong connectivity in my soul and the downside is you can't kind of clasp onto, oh, I'm from here, this is my thing. I just don't have that. But I'm deeply connected with humanity nonetheless.
Yeah, it's really
That's
cool though,
cool.
because I think with your career and with our love for booging, it gives you life experiences and an ability to connect with people really easily. Because
Yes,
if you want to experience all the different flavors and experiences of booging, you got to go traveling, right?
yeah.
And so you put yourself in places where normal tourists don't go. So you end up having these really cool, interesting experiences. Sometimes
Oh,
you got to
mate.
navigate some
Yeah,
crazy shit, you know?
yeah. And it's beautiful, man. What better life to lead than interacting with new variables all the time? It's like, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but it's magical what the
Mm.
Boog has given us.
Mm.
It's so magical.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
we become a little tribe, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we do in a sense. But we're, I suppose, in some senses, like a to use a biblical word, like a downcast tribe. So we're almost like there's a sense of empathy that
Mm.
we carry too. Like,
Mm.
thank you very much. I'm just purchasing myself a coffee in a can, lads.
Nice. Good work.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Good.
fierce for my caffeine.
Mm.
Thank you.
Well, that comes back to that point we were talking about too, because we all feel that weird sort of discrimination or tension. And so it does help you empathize with others people's causes and stuff, because the
Yes.
watercraft that we chose to ride primarily,
Yeah.
because I think we all enjoy different types of watercrafts, has created this type of tension with the mainstream shortboard riders,
Yeah.
so which helps us empathize with other people's situations and stuff. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that about
100%.
Bogan, eh?
Yeah, and I think back on that point, I was pretty excited to unpack where you were talking, Hodjo, about that really visceral feeling of shame and embarrassment, humiliation that you get when you're teased as a kid. You reflected on your time being teased as being a native kid or indigenous kid. I think you mentioned in your school, like, there's that deep pain, like, and that feeling that you feel. I mean, I'm sure as I described those three words before, like humiliation, um, embarrassment, shame, you actually feel that shit still in your body. You can recall those feelings. And I have a fascination with this phenomenon, which I believe to be true, that we can somehow transmute that energy, that feeling, that remembering, and with like deep grace, we can find a way to apply that energy and flip it over as like this reconciling process. And I think the greatest stories, some we're familiar with, some we'll never hear because they just happen in places where no one talks about. But one of the most prominent stories of that is Mandela's story, 20 years in jail, sitting in a fucking, you know,
In a
jail
cell.
cell,
Mm.
and him being able to go, okay, how am I going to spend my life when I get out of jail? Like, and him choosing to use that energy, like transmuted energy, into reconciling, and one of the most
Mm.
powerful stories of humanity. See, like sort of unfolded after that.
Mm.
I think it's really powerful, and I think I've been struggling with that type of issue with bugging and comparing it to sort of other, persecution or issues. But the way you articulated it by saying it makes you feel shame or humiliation is something that I've never really thought about. You've articulated it finally for me, and
Yep.
that's the common consequence of someone being persecuted is they feel less than, they feel
Yes.
humiliated or shamed,
Yes.
and for
Yes.
no real reason. So
Yes.
I just for me, mate, thank you, because it's helped me understand that a little bit better too. And me and Jolyn have never really spoken about it too much. And it's actually quite interesting, Brendo, because Blaketown is the only spot in New Zealand where bugs rule. We own the spot. So we've never really had to deal with that in the water there. Like, in fact, we've been a bit grumpy with a lot of stand-ups that turn up, but not to the point where we're beating them up or anything. But I think me and John never really unpacked it, but I was really excited to talk to you about it because I know you work with Indigenous people, and you think about booging culture, surfing culture in such a deep and forthright way.
Well,
So I just
yeah,
really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it.
yeah, sick. No, it's amazing, Hodjo, for sure, man. And I don't think we're just blowing up, steamy conversations. Like it's real. It's humanity. It's the same as like when I get anxious, for example. I've lived in a world for the last 20 years where I have had bad obsessive compulsive disorder, and roughly it's basically an anxious thought, an intrusive thought, which causes all these physiological fucking unbearable feelings, right? But it's just a thought. So it just is testament to what a feeling, whether it be from like fucking racial vilification or Kobe Abbott and farting on me, like whatever it is, it's it provokes that soul response. So whether it's a tiger chasing me or me having a thought of a tiger chasing me, like there is differences, yes, but I swear physiologically there's so many similarities, because of how powerful the mind and the neural web that follows from the mind, to our body, and like yeah, it you know what I'm saying, eh?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking it in really because
Yeah.
I think
I was just gonna
yeah.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead,
mention about this whole topic about Indigenous people and the bodyboarders. It's the biggest similarity that's just screaming out to me is that they're both minorities, and
Yeah.
whenever you're part of a culture that is a minority, you can relate to other minority cultures. Like bodyboarders have always been persecuted and downtrodden and disrespected, and it's the same with Indigenous people. And yeah, I guess being both, Hodjo, it's like a double
whammy.
It's a double whammy of empathy. You
Yep.
must have a fucking nice, strong.
No, it's beautiful, Hodjo, and I really appreciate taking it there because yeah, man, I'm strongly connected to you from now on, and it seems like we have been for 20 years.
Yeah, well, thank you, mate.
Unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Brendo, sorry to change the subject, but you mentioned the intrusive thoughts thing, and I just wanted to bring up the Rory Kiley interview that you did.
Yeah. So that was a good one. I think he had the closest I've ever seen to myself in terms of struggles with OCD, and that was really liberating. You could probably hear it through the audio. I was very relieved to actually talk to someone that got it, Yeah,
that was
it's
cool.
a unique unique illness, and he particularly where he described his intrusive thoughts. I think he said he was batting off or whatever you call it, masturbating, and he had this intrusive thought about a dog in Indonesia, and he was like something like, morally, sexually wrong with me for having this thought,
Yeah.
And everyone will laugh at it and they'll choke up and get a bit nervous when they're hearing me say this, but it's fucking real, and it caused him a lot of angst, hundreds of times a day, and that's what OCD is, and
wow.
it's fucking so scary, man. Like, and I tell people love to talk about the big wave that I caught and sold the dogs or whatever, but that is fucking nothing on how scary intrusive thoughts are.
I think that's why because we've heard you talk so much. That's where everybody knows you from, right, Brendo? From those legendary stories, and I just got to say, like, the fact that you just, I've got to go out this boat at night. What's my mate? It's just crazy. Yeah. Like what you were so driven, but everybody knows.
Oh yeah, but I mean, to like be honest about some of those stories, like there's plenty of human error and like just zealous, unwise 20-year-old in it too. Like it's not just
you think you're invincible back in those.
If you had any clue about fishing and boating, like you wouldn't have done what we did. It's just, I suppose, I just like to have just cover that off to anyone listening that actually knows the story or was on the boat with me. There's shit that you would have done differently, but
I could, man. I'm one of those hardcore planners, and if you were trying to pull that with me I would get fucked. It's not happening.
Yeah. And there were a couple of lads that, only 2 weeks before that happened, there was like a split in the group. We all sat in the dust and kind of going like, Brendo's fucking, it wasn't explicitly said like that, but it was like a bit of tension, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like blah blah. And I was just like hell bent on this idea of helping people know about a higher power. So like it's just, you can imagine,
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
I was just going to say back to the Rory thing, because it was crazy timing, because we'd just come back from the Cooks. We'd met Rory. So
did you?
Yeah, and then I saw the pod come up on your channel, and I was just like, oh, what the hell? There's Rory.
Yeah.
Just met him 2 weeks ago. So
we surfed a bit with him, Brendo. I've never seen someone get better pits on a stick laying down. So
so he was laying down on his surfboard.
We had this really like sort of low tide session at a spot there called Rutaki, and it was like low tide, quite heavy, not that big, but just quite heavy, and it was a really steep drop to make, and he was on his backhand, so he just started proning them on the stick.
Yeah, sick.
And he was making hell pits.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
But now the back to the intrusive thoughts thing too. Fuck yeah, that was so good that you guys spoke about that, and he was so candid and open and honest about the thoughts that were popping into his head. I was so stoked with him, because I think a lot of people get them. I've had them throughout my life, and it was just a nice little wee confirmation that A, I'm not fucking crazy, and B, that a lot of guys and girls, I'm not sure I'm sure you've talked to girls who've had the same thing, but
it's roughly half, like in terms of suffering. Like it doesn't discriminate gender.
Gotcha.
It's it's just something we all suffer with. Unfortunately, my podcast is more boys than girls, which I'm happy to change, but
Oh man, look, I think, and that's why I love talking to you now, because you had your big bull career. That's where we know you from, but the path you're leading now around mental health and its connection with surfing and booging and enjoying the process of the life of booging, just being in the environment, in the ocean, rather than just, it's got to be that barrel that I have to get now. It's, you know what I mean? And I actually said this in my last podcast we just did. I enjoy the process more, the whole process around going on a surf trip or just going for a surf at home.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than the fucking surf itself.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think,
Cool, man.
yeah.
Journey.
100%, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's because you got kids and you just like any time that you step out and you have this ability to re-engage with this romance of a surf trip. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's certainly at this age, it is like just laughing about stupid shit, like laughing about like eating a can in the desert, a can of tuna in the desert. Like that's fucking funny and it's awesome. Like, why is it fun? I don't know. Like,
It's
Fuck
it- well, it, yeah. It's the classic cliche, but it's really true. It's more about sometimes the journey than the destination, right? You make those memories with your mates and in those areas, just those little things you don't really think about. Yeah.
Yeah, mind you, there's definitely still the hunt central to the whole thing. Like you fucking checking the charts and you're up at 4 and you're looking at the wind and you're fucking seeing the way the swell's coming in. And you're checking this and checking that. It's like you still go to the end of the earth to find the slab, you know. Like we're out this week. We're out on dark, a kilometre out to sea, fucking sitting there. Me and Ben Sawyer sitting there in the dark, 200 meters out past the wave because we couldn't see where the wave was, and like we just had to look for the explosion to see where we could swim to identify the channel. Like, it was. So like it's still the chase is still there, I suppose, in the midst of just appreciating, the more mundane in between stuff.
Yeah, and I saw that photo you took of Chris James. Was it last week or something? Or in that
was
insane pit. You know?
Yeah, that was on Monday. Yeah.
Wow.
Work it.
Yeah, I was so stoked with that, mate. Like, just so special when the wave throws that hard and you're right at the top corner of it, you know?
Right in that zone, right in the impact zone. Amazing.
Totally. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. It's capturing those moments. It's so cool.
Hey, back to the Shark Island comp. Let's get Brendo's. Okay, let's put him on the spot. Let's put us all on the spot. All three of us.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Who's gonna win? We have to choose one person out of the whole lineup.
All right. Well, tell me what the swell is first. Like, tell me what the swell direction and the size is.
I don't know.
That changes who wins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it would, I suppose.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah, no, it would. I guess if you're an all-rounder, it's not going to phase you too much. But I don't even check the charts over there, so I have no idea. Have you seen any forecasts, Brendo?
Yeah. Look, there's potential for next Saturday. There's potential for it to be 4 foot heavy south-southeast. So it's like long waves, you know, they run along, they've got that top peak, and then they run all the way through White Rock and Surge.
Yep.
So it's like a 50-meter wave, and it's like good barrels, good heavy sections, nothing fucking crazy. Some nugs on the inside. Yeah, let's call it that.
Okay.
That's hopeful thinking, you know. Cross our toes and our eyelashes to hopefully that hopefully the Shark Island Challenge looks like that in 6 days. Who's winning? Fuck. I find it very hard to separate emotion from objective calls like this. But I'm just gonna not worry about my predisposition and say that Sean Pine wins it.
Yes, I thought you were going to say that.
He rips the shit out of waves. Like he does not worry about whether he's got a steep section to jam a forward in or whatever. Like he's so rhythmic out there. And he's just got
Pino. Let's go Pino.
Yeah.
He knows it backwards,
Pino.
right?
He does. He knows it backwards, and there's no bullshit with Pino. He can come across, a pretty hype kind of lad, but I fucking love him for it. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Do you want to go next, Hodjo, or me? Have you got one?
I just got a quick call. I think it'll. It's hard. I'm just going to go with the different pick.
Just choose one. Don't.
Okay, I'm just going to go with the different pick because I would probably go with Sean Pine, but I'll go with a different pick. All right.
Yeah.
Oh no,
No,
just
you can
all right,
agree.
yeah.
No,
We can
no,
agree.
because I think if there's this variation in degree, like maybe we got like
Yeah.
a bit more tricky waves, where maneuvers based.
Yeah.
I
All right.
think if old man Hub, I feel like old man Hub has still got it, eh?
Ooh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
100%.
okay.
He's still got it. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So what's he doing to win though? Talk to me. What's the wave that wins it for him?
I just think a massive invert over Surge. The
Yeah,
Elasto
righto.
man, huge
Yeah.
invert over the
Yeah.
end bowl. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Nice. All right. I'm going with I'd be sick if you could bet on this, eh? I hope the TAB or whatever Ladbrokes in Aussie gets behind this, eh? I'd love to chuck a couple of 20 on this. But I'm sure this person will have high odds. He's probably going to be a favorite, and I'm going to say Andrew Lester. I
Yeah.
reckon
Okay.
it's I've seen him free
Yeah.
surfing recently out at the island on some clips, and he
Yeah.
looks like he's in very good form.
Yeah.
And I think he's just going to do Lester things, eh? Just milk the barrel, and then just
Yeah.
nice lip rolls, and maybe
Yes.
the odd backy in the end
Yes.
section. But I just think
Yes.
he'll just be barrel manipulation.
Yes.
Because Pino probably surfs a bit like him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You
He
think?
does. He does. Pino's. I'd like to think Pino's maybe a bit even more solid in his when he lands his backflips. He's kind of
Yeah,
like
true.
but yeah
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped for this comp. Hey, I think it's really breathed a bit of much needed energy into the sport. Eh, so cool.
Well, yeah, I was
Oh,
just shitting on the fucking IBC before because I said the Shark Island boys are doing such a better job than IBC.
yeah, I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's the communication. Maybe it's less Aussie centric, and therefore we're not getting our language in. We're not got our kind of our platforms full of the voices we know. Yeah, maybe it's that. I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the build up. They're doing such a
Yeah.
good job of building up to
Yeah.
the comp.
Yeah.
It's been like a few weeks long event. It's not just been go quiet until the day you run. There's like different little events happening around the main event.
I know, good on them, eh? Like seriously, they
killing
didn't
it.
fucking need to do it. Like they've all got families and jobs and kids, and mate, they're just absolutely pulling their finger out and just doing shit everywhere. It's amazing.
No, they're killing
Yeah.
it, Brendo. It's
Yeah.
sick. Hey, bro,
Isn't it great?
I had we usually when we have a guest on, we ask 2 questions to wrap up on, but we're just
Yep.
wondering how you are for time.
No, I'm good for time. I'm just wandering past the gate. I spent about a solid 10 minutes looking at all these bins, right, when we're talking. And I had my can of coffee that I bought. Remember I bought that about 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I sculled that and walking around the fucking airport, and every single bin has biosecurity bin written on it. And I went to about 8 bins, right? And I'm like, where can I dispose of this can? And I just thought this is a fun anecdote. And they're all actually real bins, but they've got these big signs on it saying biosecurity bin. I don't know what the difference is between that bin and a normal bin, but then I looked inside the bin and it's just normal rubbish in there, so I chucked my can in there.
Oh, weird.
It must
Yeah.
be for
There
like
must be
people when
some
they need
customs.
to ditch their. It must be when they're trying
Maybe-
to ditch their food or something. Eh?
Mm.
Yeah, is it just encouraging people to put their food in there or something? Or I don't know what makes it a biosecurity bin.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Classic.
and now I've got plenty of time. I'm just walking around, and the gates still got those massive lines. I'm always one for everyone lined up. They stand there,
Yeah.
and they just stand there. Like, why don't you just sit down?
Just wait. I do the same. Just
yeah,
wait until
just
the
wait.
line's gone.
Yeah, and then you walk straight up and scan your passport, and off you go.
Yeah, that's right. Strange. Yeah.
And I wanted to finish off like just listing off the holy trinity of boogieing.
Yes.
We're doing that at
Yes.
because that was getting going.
Yeah, we actually carried on for a little bit. On
Did you?
that.
Yeah, what did you come up with?
Yeah, well, I think we're in agreement. We thought that we'll start with God, and we think that Tom Moray is probably God.
Oh,
Yeah,
you've gone Tom for God.
well, because
Oh yeah.
he invented
Oh,
the
and you call him
craft.
Stuart Jesus.
Well, we didn't even talk about Jesus. Yeah, we went straight to the Pope. We went straight to Pope.
Oh yeah, so you were going like
We-
we're sort of doing Catholicism. All right, no, that's good.
yeah, I don't know, but we got to yeah. Oh, that's a good chat. Who's Jesus when it comes to
Yeah,
the religion of Bug?
because I remember one Ricky's mag
Yeah.
labeled Stuart as God and
Yeah.
Nietzsche's Jesus.
That's just Jesus. I
Remember
remember
when he
that
was
too.
writing signs? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's only one Boogie Jesus, and that's Jason Bloody Spence.
oh yeah,
oh,
he's
yeah.
got a good similarity to him, eh?
Yeah,
That's what we call Jason, because he lives over here now. He comes down to our comp in Blaketown every Easter, and we see him often.
Does he?
Yeah, he's a legend, old Jace. Yeah,
He's a lovely guy, isn't he? Yeah,
he's
I
brilliant.
pick up those vibes on social media. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's brilliant. He's an awesome dude.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
But
we
yeah.
were thinking, well, because I was trying to set it up as God, Tom Moray, and then you got a Jesus / Pope, which is like Stuart. But then I was trying to do like high priests and then core lords.
Yeah, sure.
But Jolin
Yeah,
didn't like
nice.
me saying core lords.
Oh yeah. Well, I
don't-
mean, there's another
yeah.
way we could do it. We could just call like the holy doctrine of Berg, and we'll just have 12 disciples. But it is
Disciples,
interesting
yeah.
putting one above them. You know, who is the God? Who is Jesus? Yeah, it's really interesting. Mike is, you know, he's got something extra than Hardy and Rollins, doesn't he? So what do you like?
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, like,
It's an easy one to pick.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
All right. So say we're going to 12 disciples. Let's just establish that there's they've taken on the holy purpose,
Mm.
and off they go. 12 of them. Who would you call 12 of them?
Do you want to go,
Ben,
Giles?
yeah, I'll go. I'll start with Ben Severson. He's in there.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep.
Yep. Sevo.
Should we go one for one?
We'll go one for one. Yeah. Go Hodge.
Yep.
For me, Party. Easy. Done.
Okay. Party.
Yeah.
All right. I'm. Mate, this is pretty gnarly.
I
My
know.
first pick, straight off the bat, is like I just think he's the most profoundly intuitive bodyboarder on planet Earth. Spencer Skipper.
Oh,
Oh, that's a great call.
nice. That's good. That's good.
I watched his section.
I
watched his section
with
and
his
Against the Grain.
climax.
What's this over?
Oh, it's like we've just like climax or something. Oh,
Yeah, I know.
oh,
Sometimes you forget. Yeah, sometimes you forget about him, and then when someone brings him up, you just say, "Oh, fuck yeah, Spencer! He was the
you're right.
best."
You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the absolute style lord. Okay, go, Giles.
yeah.
Sasaki, Keith Sasaki's got to be in there for me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just for, I guess my ones are all going sort of older.
Yeah. No,
because
it's
they're
still
like
laying
the
down
sort
the
of
foundation. Yeah.
that he was like one of the first guys to be a multi drop knee and prone guy. He probably was the first guy. Obviously Jack Lindholm was there, but he was the guy who brought that kind of versatile energy to the sport. So he's in there for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, if you're going to go down there, Roach, Paul Roach, he's got to be there. King of drop knee.
100%, mate. Roach is the most explosive fucking wave shredding machine on the planet, isn't he? Or like who else?
Oh, he influenced all those guys, those stand-up guys, the momentum generation. They were all influenced
100%.
by his surfing. You know,
you gotta. It's got to be true, eh? That was such an important call there. Roach. I'm so glad you went for Roach.
Mm.
So we're up to six now,
Brenden. On me now, is it?
Yeah, we're up to the sixth one.
Mate. So we've got done Hardy. like I've just got to say, Rawlings, like shit.
Yeah.
He was good, right? In my opinion, he was great. He was like John O'Bruce. He was like good, clever, got it all down, everything.
Mm.
And then what the fuck happened when he went from like 2003 to 2012? Like he re-evolved to become like in my opinion, untouchable in his rail work. Like when he did all that found stuff, it was almost like the wave didn't matter anymore. The board didn't matter. Like he was just going to do whatever the fuck he wanted on the wave, no matter what. And no one could do that. Like I just, so that's my little summary on why I vote for Rawlins to be an apostle.
He's got to be the fastest person that's ever wrote a book, right?
Yes.
No one's ever gone faster. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, his
Right,
rail
Joss?
game, his rail game went to another level, in that period.
Oh,
It
it's
was
fucking
fucked
scary.
up.
Yeah,
It was scary.
It's
Mm.
It's like I remember us down at the wave pool 2 years ago. He was doing like hacks that by the time he started and all the way to the finish of the hack, there was no wave left. The whole thing was a cutback. Like it was crazy. Like I'm talking, and I know that life hasn't been simple for him the last 10 years. Like so, I think there's that degree of pressure and pain and release that happens through his fucking polypropylene rail that's really evident, that probably wasn't evident when he was a kid,
Yeah, agreed, mate.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it's an easy one. It's got to be Tamega. He's in there.
Yeah, 100% he's an apostle. Yeah.
Absolute, broke the barrier of just charging. Well, he break the barrier, but he just introduced another element of charging that was needed, and it was just perfect timing. He was so young, pipeline comp, just absolute went to another level and just showed that you can just, if you put your mind to it, you can just launch off a 12-foot fucking closeout section at pipe.
Yes. I think what excites me about Tamaga though is his shameless boldness in presenting that style to bodyboarding. It would have taken some courage to come up against 90% of the people we've listed, incorporate the fucking Craigs, the cross legs into their routine.
And he just didn't give a fuck, did he? He was just like, I'm just going to do my own style and
100%.
fuck everyone else.
And when I sat with him actually a year ago in Hawaii, I was like, mate, like just reflecting on what way I used to look up to him as a surfer, as a bodyboarder. And he's like, oh, really? I thought the Aussie guys hated me. I was like, oh, like, imagine that, like being a 6 times world champ and feeling like a nation of riders hated you. Like, so
I think that he's probably got some, like he would have had some hate from people. I remember, when you're sitting around with your buddies and you're talking about style, and 90% of my friends were like, oh, yuck, I don't like Tamaga's style. It's gross. Yuck. And same with Hub. Like a lot of my friends are like, oh, nah, don't like Hub. Nah, he's yuck. His legs are all over the show. So he was probably right in saying that. But I respected him big time.
Nice.
100%. You can't not.
I think you're next to you, Hodjo.
All right. Kainoa.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
No one's ever got, and no one's ever going to get ever again 10-foot barrels on a drop knee board at pipe. Never going to happen
100%.
again.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Man. Yeah. No, well, I mean,
that was my turn.
You've seen people do it. You've seen people like try to do it since. How solid his whole maker, that whole bodyboard, the rail, the big rails, and the big long board, and his whole shape, his body shape. Mate, no one holds a rail out there on a drop knee like him.
No,
I still, and like his waves in Fu Manchu, which we take inspiration off, obviously with Fu Man Swoo, but Fu Manchu, and those barrels, and just honorable mention the Chris Swan Tarloa backside drop knee
Oh,
second
honorable
reefer.
mention.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still one of the best barrels ever caught on a bug. You know,
Yes.
so and shout out to
Backside drop
Polynesians.
knee
Shout out to
at
Polynesians.
Can
What's
you,
that, brother?
Can you imagine doing backside drop knee at Pipeline?
Oh man,
Like,
it'd be scary.
mate, it's hard to hold a rail out there as it is. But imagine going drop knee, not only drop knee, but backside drop knee. Like,
And it's
like,
it is 10 foot.
oh my goodness.
Right, you're up next,
unbelievable.
Brendo.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, this is cool because it's getting crunchy. We're down to what have we done? 8? What have we done?
This is 9. You're on 9 now.
This is
Yeah.
9. Oh, and we've got 12 apostles, eh?
Mm.
Yeah.
All right.
4 to go.
Okay. This is my second last go.
Yep.
I think so.
Okay. Wow. Okay. 100%. 100% Sean Virtue.
Oh, really?
yes.
Cool.
Sean
I like
Virtue.
it.
100%.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
it.
love it. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, I think it's just the ear man.
Oh, and the way he landed on those LMNFP boards, he'd land in the flats,
Oh,
like, still got his legs up, spinning around from backflips and stuff, like,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Nice. Yeah. Sick.
holy shit! This is getting tough now. This is getting tough.
Getting gnarly, eh? I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Mm.
Christ.
Oh,
Crikey. This is tricky.
I've hit 2 in my head. I got 2 in my head.
You got 2 to choose from, have you?
You
Yeah.
got
Okay.
2 more goes, don't you?
No, I've only
this
got
is your
1.
last go.
I've only got
You
1.
get. I think you get the last one, Brendo.
No way.
Okay. I was going like I had. I'm going to put him up there. This might be controversial,
Yep.
but I'm going to say Ross McBride.
Yeah, all right. I'll
Yeah.
take that. That's amazing.
Just because, I'm thinking of spreading it around the world, around the globe,
Yes.
and he
Yes.
was
Yes.
groundbreaking with no friends. And he was like one of the main guys that was sort of driving that brand and that movement, and just his artistic flair on the bug and off the bug was I just think he's up there.
Yep.
That's
Nice one, Giles.
100%, man. He's got one, like, he was one of the first guys to do, like, really fucking good loops, too. Those big
Yeah.
loops.
Yep.
And it's not just about his booging too, it's about the impact. No Friends franchise,
Exactly.
the company.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Last one for you.
Oh,
Hodge.
I wish I could do my honorable mention, but I'm not going to. Dub. David Hubbard.
Ooh.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dubbo.
right.
Yeah, because like
Yeah, no, I mean,
yeah,
Who else can do what he can do on a bug?
no one can do like this the
right.
variety.
Stand up.
Yeah.
It's so
Just-
funny that you've got Dub in there, but you haven't got Jeff.
Yeah. That's classic.
So gnarly.
And I picked him for the Shark Island as well, so I still rate him. But I just think in terms of like I'm thinking about impact on the whole
righto.
culture of the
Righto.
sport. Yeah.
And what? Fucking 14 drop knee wheel titles or something, 11 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. And can get barreled on a bug.
That's the heaviest call. That's good, though. That's good. Yeah.
Oh, lucky
So is
last.
it landing on me for 12, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
right.
is. It's great.
Yeah.
No. I haven't even got anyone in my head. I've got to literally come up with someone right now.
No, you're right. Just
Um,
keep thinking.
Yeah, so oh my goodness. Fucking hell. This is so heavy because there's so many people I've left out, and it's just it's an atrocity.
They're all your
But
mates too.
Hey?
They're all your mates.
Oi. Seriously, you can't deny the incredible tale of like when Kingy won the Tahiti Pong.
Yeah.
And like when he threw the peace sign up, went on to win the world title.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like he is fucking an animal. And let me mention really quickly, this is super important. if you Google, I'm sure you have, Damien King instructional bodyboard video, it is fucking amazing for kids. Like,
Mm.
it is a 40-minute A to Z of bodyboarding for Groms. I was looking at it for all the Gold Coast Bodyboard Club kids the other day,
Mm.
and mate, it is immaculate. It's the best fucking resource. If you wanted to, you could live on an island somewhere and get yourself bodyboard and flippers and watch that every day. You could become so good at bodyboarding purely if that was the only video you watch.
That's a.
Like,
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
1,000,000% agree.
yeah,
Kingy's impact on the sport, his influence, his
Yeah.
pocket writing, the movies, the stories
Yeah.
about doing it for his mum, everything.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, we've got our 12 fossils.
We did
Well
it.
done.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Long
hard. It was
live
hard
the-
though, eh?
It was really hard.
There's some interesting ones in there. There's some interesting ones in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
should now put them all on an experiment trip for 3 months.
Oh my god, that'd be so
Yes.
sick. Imagine that group.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be so cool.
Yeah. Or they got there's 12 of them. They've got to go for 12 months into the 12 best waves in the world.
No, it should be like 40 days and 40 nights, the Bible
Yeah.
reference.
down to salty dogs, Brendo. Send them
Yeah,
down.
one of them salty dogs, mate. You get 12 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like Kingy, you can have your break ball if you want, mate, but you've got to have a go at salty dogs.
That's
Yeah.
You want
right.
to be on the if you want to live at the true holiness.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, cool.
Oh, Brendo, this has been fucking amazing, man. We've both been really looking forward to just talking with you, man. Talking story
Sick.
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I've enjoyed it too, lads. Like, really looking forward to staying in touch, and it's been exciting actually thinking about the possibilities of a world tour, and also, yeah, it's sick, man. I have to get your WhatsApp numbers or your text number. I can get your phone numbers and stuff.
Yeah, bro. Thanks,
bro.
mate. Thanks heaps
Yeah,
for
man.
sharing your time. And if you want to do any shout outs, but hey, for all of our listeners and watchers, if you haven't already gone to the Grey Space Pod, check it out. But yeah, do you want to do any shout outs, Brendo?
Yeah, and in terms of shout outs to like the beautiful, non-cynical people out there that are just like super working hard to make it happen. Like you've got guys that are doing the island comp, Sads and O'Connor and Ben, and then you've got like Idris and Toops that are doing the Gold Coast comp. Just these characters that put a bit in and somehow manage to hold a responsible life as well, doing their day-to-day stuff.
Exactly.
It's really special because it's cool. We get to have conversations like this and be fully inspired, and it's relatively untainted. We're not trying to do it for many reasons. Like we're not earning any money, which is a pretty rare thing.
It's just for the love. It's just for the love.
Yeah.
And mate, we'd love to have you over if you ever want to have it come over. But we run our comp and Easter every weekend. It's a good crew, good vibe. We usually get good waves.
Oh, it's an
Sometimes like
annual
that.
comp.
Yeah, annual comp, the Blaketown Challenge. And if you ever want to come over to New Zealand, you got places to stay with us, and crew that would love to have you. Yeah.
Oh, why don't we book it in? I'll take my family over the next Easter.
Yeah, man.
Oh, mate, we'd love to have you.
Because my kids would really enjoy that. My daughter would love bodyboarding at the Blaketown Ledge.
Cool.
My wife would, she'd love
Just double
New
holiday.
Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to orientate me, you said you grew up on Christchurch, but then you went. Sorry, what's the geographics of it?
So I had my upbringing here in Christchurch, but then I spent 10 years living over on the West Coast.
Yes.
At Blaketown. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that sucked me over there for a long time.
And how far down the South Island are we talking when we talk about east to west? What's the Like,
Christchurch is right in. You fly into Christchurch International Airport there. That's right
Yeah.
in the sort of the middle of the East Coast on the South Island.
Yes.
And same with Greymouth. It's sort of like on the West Coast, right in the middle of the West Coast.
Yes,
So we're
okay,
kind of
cool.
like directly opposite each other in a way.
But it's only
Yeah.
it's only 3 hours, Brendo,
It's
for
only,
a drive.
only a 3 hour drive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Righto.
From one side of the island to the other. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's book it in next. I'll run it by the family, but I reckon
Yeah.
let's lock it in for Easter. So Easter is April, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's when we
let's-
run our comp. We'd love to have you there, man.
Let's tear out where's a new one. That'd be good.
Yeah,
Oh, mate.
do it.
The VFX.
All right.
All right.
All
mate.
right,
Awesome.
Safe
Yeah.
travels. Thanks for your time, brother.
Yeah. Stay in touch. See ya.
Good on you,
Good week.
Bruno. See you, mate.